You're now tuned in to the Two Dudes, One Ball Fantasy Football Podcast.
Welcome in, listeners, to another episode of Two Dudes, One Ball Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Michael Eck. Alongside me today, only one joining me is Tommy Richetti. Tom, what's up, man? We're down 2 men, but we're here. We got running back rankings today, right?
Yep, 12 through 24. Just the two of us today, but still look forward to getting into it.
Yeah, we're gonna jump right in. We're probably gonna skip news. There's not a lot going on that we can really talk about besides, maybe a Claypool going down and getting limped off, but doesn't look as serious. But our main focus today is power through to go with the other video. If you haven't seen our running backs 1 through 12 PPR rankings, go watch that. And as always, drop a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, comment, let us know your thoughts and opinions, share it with a friend, and follow the socials at 2dudes1ballff on Instagram and at 2dudes1ball on Twitter. With that, like I said, we're going to hop right into the rankings. We got 13 to 24, like Tom said, and we're going to do it, man. And we're going to go right there. We're just going to kick it off. And Tom, I'll let you start off and take number 13 away, and let's get right to it for the people.
Yeah, so at 13 right here, we have Najee Harris of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I have Harris at 12. I think there's a lot of upside with Najee. We know Mike Tomlin likes his workhorse backs. We've seen it every year since he's taken over, and he's got a lot of upside to catch some passes from Big Ben, especially with that Claypool injury. It looks more promising for him. He's going to see a lot of work on the ground, definitely going to get some touchdowns, and we know that O-line's banged up, but he really need to be efficient if he's going to get 300-plus carries this year.
Yeah, Najee, like you said, you have him at 12. You're the highest on him. Me and Daniel have him at 13, and Ryan's him at 14, which we are consensus. We're going to group all of them and average it out. So that's why he's here at 13. And Najee, like the recent running backs in Pittsburgh, have always been known to be bell cows. They're going to be utilized, like Tommy said. They utilized Bell, they utilized Connor, and then when Connor got down, they utilized Jalen Samuels. And then last year was a little bit of Benny Snell early on until he really couldn't get the job done. So they're going to rely on Najee, as you already see in the preseason games too. He's playing first, second, and third down. They want to get him in there, get the workload. He's getting all the reps, so that's such a good sight to see. He's easily, could smash and squeak into the top 12 RBs this year. With that, he's behind a really putrid offensive line that keeps getting worse each year. Ben's getting older and depreciating, but that team, Ben's going to throw. So hopefully Najee can be a recipient of some of them and score in the red zone when possible. And that team's not too bad. He could be an asset this year as a rookie and then really build on that for next year as well.
Yeah, I think one other thing on Najee is a lot of people last year had Clyde Edwards-Helaire really high in their rankings and kind of burned a lot of people because he did not return that RB1 top-end RB2 upside or value. So I think this is a very different situation. Harris, I think, is just a better player straight up than Edwards-Helaire. So if that's something that has you a little skeptical, I wouldn't even compare the two, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. That definitely happens in a lot of cases. Not even just with Clyde, with other running backs that are older. You get such a sour taste in your mouth when you see something happen that was not expected or didn't meet expectations of the season, and it really does hurt. And people need to have a clean slate here with Najee because he really is in a scenario where he can get the full workload. My concern is just the offensive line and the way the offense looked really poorly after starting 11-0 last year. They really went downhill, and I think it's a factor of the O-line. It's a factor of Ben getting older and washing up his career. So, but I still have Najee. I have him at 15, so I still have him up there. Well, going next, we'll go to 14 is Clyde Edwards. Hilaire. Clyde Edwards last year, Tom, you mentioned it. Man came in last pick in the first round of the draft, NFL draft, and he really rose in ADP coming around this time last year. He was probably mid fourth round player last year, and then people just started talking about how much Andy Reid utilizes his running back, how much that team passes, how versatile that team is, how explosive that team is, and how good Clyde is in college. And he came from LSU, who just won a national title. So all these things factor in. Everybody's like, okay, Clyde squeaked all the way up into a lot of people's ADPs in the first round, and when he did not, like Tom, you said, did not smash that. He literally burnt you. He finished at 16 last year, and you draft him to be top 5, top 7 in some scenarios, and didn't even come close. I think this was a product of him being a rookie and a really bad O-line. They went out and they got a better O-line, and they lost Sammy Watkins, so now the real third option is probably Clyde Edwards. It's going to be, Kelsey Hill, and then Clyde Edwards will be the turnabout. We've seen Andy Reid in the past produce running backs as Kareem Hunt. He had LaShawn McCoy as a big one, Brian Westbrook. So he's had people in his career, in his coaching career, and I think Clyde Edwards coming to his second year, he's got a lot of people to prove. And we have him at 14. I have him at 14. Tommy got him at 15. Dan's got him at 14, and Ryan's got him at 12. And Clyde, just to real quick wrap this up for me, I think Clyde is in a golden spot scenario here because people, especially when you're drafting him, people are lowering him to like his floor pretty much in your draft. So you're getting him in like that third round, late second, third round at like running back 15, 16, when he can really, if he hits, he can be what he was drafted at last year to be that running back 5, 6. So that's like the biggest thing here is that people have this sour taste, so they lowered him so much, but he really can be huge.
Yeah, I mean, in that third round, that middle of the third round, end of the third round, where you're getting them in some drafts, that's I think that's perfect where I would take them. But the one thing is, like, a lot of people compare him to Brian Westbrook. I mean, he's not quite the receiver that Brian Westbrook was when Brian Westbrook was with Andy Reid. But I mean, I personally think that playing with a Patrick Mahomes kind of hurts him because his main reads, Mahomes, are just downfield, and you've seen all the plays he makes where he'll throw a ball falling down left-handed before he just dinks and dunks it right to the running back, and so I don't know. I think there's a chance that he'll be your RB2, like he'll return RB2 value, but I don't think that he'll be an RB1. I don't think he can be in that top tier running backs.
You don't think this season he has a chance to get up there? You think
he's got a chance, like back end, like probably 10 to 12 range, but I don't think he's cracking up in the top 10.
All right. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, they compared him to Brian Westbrook, and like you said, I think he's built a little, like you said, less pass catcher. That's something he really need to work on coming in the NFL. And Mahomes obviously is the greatest quarterback right now in this day and age of passing, but like you said, he's not going to take a sack. He's not going to run and scramble. Mahomes will, as he's going down or as he's running away, one blindfolded, looking the other way, backwards pass, he's throwing it 50 yards on the field somewhere else, and it's going to happen. And it's not going to be to Clyde. So but we can hope as an offense and as Andy Reid, they want to use one running back. They lost Damian Williams, so it kind of is gearing here where Clyde Edwards could potentially have a 3-down role, even bigger in spots. And last year he struggled on the goal line, which is another big thing. And if they can increase on that, you can't project touchdowns, as Ryan's always saying. That's one of the hardest thing to project. If they can increase any sort of touchdown ratio for him this year, he will be better than he was last year, and that's just facts. Rather he's RB1 or in the RB1s, or if he's still an RB2, he should be better than last year as long as he gets more touchdowns.
Yeah, and one more thing here. A lot of rookies, you see, a lot of times rookies don't come in and get handed that full workload right away. Like you saw that with Taylor get eased into it. You saw that with Swift get eased into it, and they took off at the end of the year. Same thing with Dobbins. But with Clyde, it was a little bit different. He started off with that role, and it looked like he kind of lost it. They brought in Bell. They had Williams. So I don't know if that was a sign that maybe he wasn't performing. I mean, it's a new year. Bell's not there. Williams isn't there. But that's just one thing that kind of like makes me question really how they might view him. I know he was the first-round pick, so he's going to have a bunch of chances. But that's just one thing that I keep in the back of my mind when I think about him.
Yeah, absolutely. Great points. You could take 15.
And 15, we have J.K. Dobbins here. That's your boy.
That's
So
solely
you
me.
want to start it with him?
I mean, yeah, I guess so because Ryan's got him at 16. You have him at 17. Daniel's got him at 17, and I got him at 11. So I'm skewing this one up to 11. Yeah. Shocking everybody. I have him in the RB1s, and my main reason I have him in the RB1 is because last year when he played limited time, he wasn't the starter yet. Mark Ingram was still the starter, but he would come in and make the most of his carries. The reason why he led the NFL last year in yards per carry to the point where it didn't go unnoticed. Coach Harbaugh noticed that to the point where Mark Ingram got hurt, but then when Mark Ingram got back, it wasn't, hey man, you're back in the role, J.K. Dobbins. He was a healthy scratch the last 4 weeks of the NFL, which one tells you how good, Mark Ingram's a great running back in the NFL. He lived in his career, and he's getting up and older, but he's a guy that can still put up 1,000 yards. We saw it with him with Kamara when he was in New Orleans. Gus Edwards is phenomenal, and there's no question there. Why didn't they just make Gus a starter? Well, because Dobbins, again, outran him, outperformed him, looked better than him. He's more talented than him. And it's not like, they invested a first-round pick. No, he's a third-round running back. They literally did not invest a lot into Dobbins, and he just performed. And Dobbins has this chip on his shoulder. I thought he was one of the best running backs coming out of college 2 years ago. And when he didn't get drafted in the first couple rounds, I was kind of like taken back, and I was like, wow. And then the Ravens took him. I was like, oh my God, it's a smash fit. Him and Lamar should be able to light up the running game this year. Yeah, I know they signed Gus Edwards for a deal. He came back, but the Ravens do that in their history of their career. They like to have a second running back there because anything can happen, and it's better to have a guy you can trust than someone new or bring off the street that doesn't know the playbook, doesn't know the offense. So I think Dobbins here, he's going to smash. It's sort of like a Nick Chubb. He doesn't catch a lot of passes, but he's going to smash the run game. He's going to break 1,400 yards this year. That team runs the ball more than any team in the NFL. He'll get you your points running the game and running the ball, and he'll dominate in the goal line in between the hashes. He's so good, so fast, so easy with his cuts. He's phenomenal. And last but not least, Lamar, they're working on him to work the check down because they don't want Lamar to keep running and damaging his body. I don't think it will happen yet. We've seen coach talk and everything happen in preseason with other teams and other players. But if they can somehow incorporate Dobbins into the passing game and just be another trusted target for Lamar, the sky's the fucking limit for Dobbins. Excuse my French, but holy hell, that man can literally... I'm live or dying by this Mount Everest mountain I have here that I climbed with J.K. Dobbins being my guy.
I mean, yeah, I see all that. So he's super efficient. That team's going to run the ball a lot. They have to respect Lamar running. They have to respect Gus Edwards when they have two running backs on the field. They just brought in Rashard Bateman in the draft. Unfortunately, he's hurt right now, so we'll see how that affects the team come week one. But my thing with Dobbins is really that he's not going to catch, or he hasn't shown that he catches all those passes from Lamar. Lamar would rather just tuck it and run. So if Lamar does make that shift into, instead of running, just dumping it down and letting his running back do the work, then Dobbins definitely jumps when you see that happen. But until we see it, I'm holding Dobbins down here at 17.
Yeah, and I mean, that's fair, and I want to correct myself. He was a second-round running back. He was drafted in the 55th overall, which is pretty late in the second round. But again, comparing to the other pass-catching running backs on the team, if they do incorporate the running backs, he is the one with the most talented hands. Gus Edwards isn't going to get the job done. Justice Hill maybe got him beat there, but Justice Hill is always going to be the third down, or the third running back on the list, and just there for backup purposes to the backup. So I'm on Dobbins. I'm expecting him to get involved in the passing game and be a dominant workhorse. But if not, I think he can be another Ray Rice. Ray Rice a few years ago, like a long time ago now, we're going back in the roots, was dominant for fantasy. If you played when Ray Rice was there, he was dominant for fantasy. I think that's what they got in Dobbins here. Since then, they bounce around with a couple running backs who, spot starts great. You can start Mark Ingram a couple years ago in a couple games. Last year, you can start him. 2 years ago was Mark Ingram's best year as a Raven. You could play him on a week-to-week basis. Last year, again, like I said, spot starts. I think they're getting more to that smash running back you can be able to play week in to week out with Dobbins. So I'll let you.
One last thing that kind of keeps me off him is in that red zone. You've seen Lamar's ability to tuck it and run it and score, and you've also seen Lamar look for Mark Andrews a lot. They've been right there with each other in the red zone. So if they do switch that and start giving it to Dobbins, down inside the 20, then I mean he'll be can't miss.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I agree. He excelled in those scenarios last year, and I don't think that team goes away from it. But we'll have to see. And if he somehow blunders and I'm sliding down the mountain of Dobbins here, then I'll take it with all the heat that I got.
You'll get the heat.
I'll live or die by it, dude. All right, you can take 16 here. We'll go to the fourth guy on the list in this RB2s.
So here we have Chris Carson with the Seahawks. He's been pretty solid. He's been pretty solid his last couple of years. His real only knock against him is just staying healthy. Can he stay on the field? And then 2 years ago, he had a real bad problem with fumbling. But if he can just stay healthy, then he's been a running back 2 in 60% of his games over the last 3 seasons. So, I mean, he's as almost safe as a running back 2 as you could get. And I mean, they just brought in new offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron, and he's been talking about wanting to balance the attack a lot more. So I think he's about as safe as a pick as a running back 2, especially in rounds 4 or 5. And I have him at running back 14.
Yeah, you got him at 14. I have him at 18. I'm a little bit lower on him, but year in, year out, I don't think he's gonna finish in our top 20. He's always there. It's just matter can he stay healthy. Rashard Penny's really not going to do anything because Rashard Penny gets hurt more than Carson. That team likes to throw the ball a lot. They changed their coordinator to try to throw the ball more. They just bought in Lockett. DK Metcalf's there. It's definitely a DK Lockett 1-2 punch with Russ running the ball. But Carson, if he can stay healthy, yeah, he's easily someone you can get. If you have someone you can pair him with, you can pair him with any of the top running backs in the top 12, and then Carson can be an easy, steady guy week to week, get you 15, 14 points, which is what you want in your running back too. Someone who can be reliable and not bust and get 4 points. I think Carson, he's involved enough in that offense where he can get you that 12 to 14 points as an RB2, and that's what you want. It's just a matter of time, like you said, can he stay healthy? That's like the biggest thing. He battles injuries, but when he's on the field, he's great. And he's great for fantasy. He's great for football. He's fun to watch. He's built tough to play. It's just his durability, man. That's my concern. That's why I'm a little bit lower on him than the other 2 that I have above him, because the other 2 everybody for that matter, besides volume, is they just have a little bit more health than him.
Yeah, and one thing that I've been hearing a lot that I really just don't understand is the Rashard Penny hype behind Chris Carson, that he's going to take work away from him. Like, he's been there the whole time. He's been there Chris Carson's whole career. Hasn't done anything. Hasn't kept Carson from doing anything. He's been hurt a lot more than Carson. So, I mean, he's just I don't understand where that's coming from this year, because it's just I don't think it's a real thing. It's just noise.
Yeah, I mean, and even to touch on, he's probably a better pass catcher than Penny anyway, and he gets about 50 targets a year the last 2 years. So that's great for fantasy, for PPR. PPR wise, you want that. He's 26. He's not really dealing with a lot of serious old age or anything. So he's gonna be come into his 5th year, and as long as he can keep the yards per carry up above 4, get you 1,000 yards, staying a whole full healthy season, or at least 13 games, and then get you 50 targets for 40 catches for a couple touchdowns for another 300 yards. He'll finish in the top 15. Let's see, his rookie year was 85th, which for PPR obviously was his rookie. He wasn't very utilized. Then when he was utilized, he was 16th, and then he finished 12th, and then last year was 19th. But last year was the battle of injuries, and he still finished 19th. So
I think he only played 12 games last year too. Something.
Yeah, so he's
definitely on that shorter end.
He did 12 games played, so he's definitely got 15 games played in 2019 and 14 games played in 2018, and he finished as an RB12 and RB16 respectively. So you can easily see, if he plays 13 games, he's going to get you in the top 20, which is an RB2, which is what you want as someone you can put in your second spot. So Carson, great pick here. I think, we're all around the same range as him too. We all have him kind of stat around the same. So I think we're all on board there. So we can go to the next guy at 17. And I'll even let you take him because you're a newly led Bears fan. I have him on the screen here for you.
Yeah, it's David Montgomery. And we just finished doing this list, and it just stinks. Today you saw their second rounder, Tevin Jenkins, go down with a back injury, and a lot of what I've been reading is that's not his timetable is not good. It's not promising. He'll probably end up missing the whole year. He projected probably be their left tackle. So I mean that kind of burns Montgomery because their line last year was not that good, and they were just trying to improve on it by obviously taking him in the second round. Then they took another tackle in the fifth round. So that for him does not look good as of right now. But I have Dave Montgomery down at 19th, and we talked about it on last episode about Jonathan Taylor. Last year we saw Montgomery spike from, I think he was 15th. He was a running back 15, and then going into the last like 4 or 5 weeks, if you had him in the playoff, you know what he did. He jumped all the way up to the running back 4 at the end of the season, and it's just there was no Tariq Cohen, so he caught a lot of passes. He's just one player that I have a couple questions with. If Tariq Cohen wasn't there, and if they didn't bring in Damian Williams, then it'd be a different story. But he's not going to be he's not going to, I don't think, consistently produce the same thing you saw at the end of last year.
Yeah, just to build off that, Montgomery, he finished 4th and had the top 7 running backs last year. He had the lowest yards per game and the lowest yardage total rushing. So it just goes to show you that like it dragged him down, but that strong finish he had the last half of the year, the last 4 or 5 games, 6 games, where he won a lot of people championships, it was because of that smash, 35 points per game he was pretty much getting. It was crazy. It really helped carry those 10 to 11 point games he was getting in the first half of the season, where he really was playing dominant defenses that were dominating the offensive line, getting into the backfield. I saw a stat that was like saying Montgomery made the most people missed behind the line of scrimmage because of how fast the defense was getting there. Like, he had to work for those yards. He's not a bad runner, and that's like the one thing I want to make clear here. He's not a bad player. He's not a bad runner. He was behind a really bad offensive line, and his quarterback play didn't help him. His quarterback play was abysmal, and they kept switching between Nick Foles, Mitchell Trubisky, so that doesn't help. Now this year, I honestly think an upgrade to Andy Dalton, and even Justin Field comes in, so either one will help get him the ball and make that offense better. Tom, like you said, Tevin Jenkins' timetable does not look good to make it there. It's very unfortunate. They had he's a big guy on the left side of that line. I heard rumors they are looking at Jason Peters from the Eagles.
Yeah, they just signed Peters today.
Okay, so they signed Jason Peters today. That's a veteran player right there. As long as Peters can, maybe he hits the fountain of youth a little bit, taking his time off not being in camp. He's a little bit more rejuvenized, but who knows? Montgomery, I think against tough defenses, he's someone you can probably, think twice about, but against easy smash defenses, yeah, he's locked and loaded in there, and I think he really faded Cohen this year because how good he was last year. Even like Damian Williams, who they bought in, you don't have to really worry about him. I think Montgomery's got that job locked and secured. It's just a matter of he needs to do it against those good, stout defenses, and it's not even just him, it's the O-line. They got to compete in those games, and he'll be phenomenal.
Yeah, one thing I think that does help him is Justin Fields. I think when Fields plays, his ability to run, get outside the pocket, and the defense is having to put a spy on him or be a little hesitant towards just coming straight downhill at the quarterback, I think that will make Montgomery a little bit more efficient when they do decide to run the ball. So once Fields takes over, I do think that Montgomery's rushing will be more efficient, and I think he will look better rather than just taking 20 carries and just running straight into a full defensive line. So until that happens, though, I have Montgomery down at 19.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think with Fields, he'll definitely make him look better running the ball. Because like you said, the defense they can't sell out to run. They have to have someone securing the edge, make sure Fields isn't taken, make sure it's not a keeper. But I definitely think it might hurt him a little bit in the value, in the sense that, again, it won't be a dump off to him. That's what he excelled at last year. You got the ball dumped off to him a lot. I think Fields will run. So in a sense, it's like a two-edged sword. It helps him, but then in the run game, but it might hurt him in the pass game. So I just think that's why I have D-Mont this low, instead of a lot of people have him. He's like the first running back I know that finished in the top 5 the year before, that finished, or ADP the next year's time in the first 2 rounds. It's bizarre. I mean, the other close one is probably James Robinson last year, but we all know what's going on there. So Montgomery's got a little I don't know what the word is. I'm looking here for
Got
just
some proving to do. He's got to back it up from last
he
year.
he definitely does. He definitely does. That's for sure.
Which sounds crazy if you look at it, how he was the running back 4 and he's got to back it up, but he really does. He really does
Absolutely,
have to prove it.
he does. All right, we'll go to number 18 here on the list. Number 18 coming in is Josh Jacobs. You know, Ryan's got him at 15. I have him at 17. Tom, you got him at 20, and Dan's got him at 20. So he comes in at 18 for us. I know Ryan said yesterday to us, we were talking about Josh Jacobs. Ryan's still riding the wave of Josh Jacobs. I am a little bit, Tom and Dan, you guys are a little bit lower than us. My whole reason behind Jacobs is he's always dealt, and I agree with Ryan, he's always dealt with somebody in the backfield, no matter who it was. Jalen Richard, Devontae Booker, and now it's going to be Kenyan Drake. He's always had someone else there, and he's always been able to find his way to scrap out 1,000 yards, get those touchdowns, and be a steady top 15 running back for your team. This year, I think the little difference is Kenyan Drake is better than those guys. I think they're going to utilize Kenyan Drake a little bit more. The offensive line took a hit, so it's really not going. They're not going to rely on him, or they're going to rely on him to move the ball, but he's not going to find those holes like he used to in years past. So I think this hurts Jacobs. That's why I have him down a little bit, because I originally had him before they lost like Rodney Hudson, and Trent Brown. I had him actually at like running back 13, but losing those key offensive line members, I dropped him. I have to, because it's tough to run behind a battle line. We see it so many times in the past. We just talked about David Montgomery. So, like, it's got to be the same scenario here with Josh Jacobs. And he doesn't get the ball in the passing game that much, or as much as he should. So, I'm down on him, but not as much as you guys.
Yeah, the only reason really is, Jacobs he hasn't caught passes in the past, and I think bringing in Kenyan Drake is them saying that they're probably going to end up using Kenyan Drake in the passing game. So I think that takes the tick away even more from what Josh Jacobs already did, and that was pretty low. But something that I do think is important is that he will probably get all that goal line work. He's the better pure runner than Kenyan Drake. I know I had Kenyan Drake on my team last year. Every time I tuned into a Cardinals game and they were first and goal on the 1 yard line, I'm watching Kenyan Drake just run straight into a pile and him get stuffed every single time. So that was kind of frustrating to watch, but I don't think that's going to be the issue this year. I think those will be all Josh Jacobs carries and he'll be able to get those in the end zone. But I think that's what's going to save him in terms of his value. He's been a real safe running back too for the past 2 years, and he's just very talented. But it just stinks the situation that kind of got handed to him this year.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, last year, I didn't have him last year. I had him 2 years ago, his rookie year, and it's just when they line him out there with Derek Carr, and I want you guys to take or with another running back next to Derek Carr. If you have him or watch him this year, if you don't have him, when they're in a shotgun and it's him to the right or to the left, and they're running back to the other side of Derek Carr, and it's going to the running back, Jacobs will run the route, but Carr won't even look his way. If Jacobs goes left, Carr's looking right the whole way and dumping it to, it was Richard, Booker, now it's going to be Kenyan Drake, and that's how they're going to utilize him. They send Jacobs out on routes, but he doesn't get anything. It's just kind of like, hey, here's our running back going out, but he's our running back, and Kenyan Drake's our passing back. So that's the scenario. We can go to the next one if you want, unless you got something else to say, but next one is your guy again, your keeper, for all I know.
Yeah. So next is Deandre Swift.
At 19.
He comes in at 19 for us. So Swift, I think this whole situation is a mess. Although I do have Swift at 16, I do think that he is just a straight up better football player than Jamal Williams. But that is what is part of the mess. Is they bring in Anthony Lynn. So he's been a whole confusing coach when it comes to running backs. They had Melvin Gordon, they had Austin Eckler out in Los Angeles. So that was always kind of a sticky situation to get into. But anyway, we have Deandre Swift. He's probably going to catch a lot of passes. I know we all seen the beat reporter that said Deandre Swift looks like he's going to be the workhorse. But then in the next sentence, he said Jamal Williams looks to carve out a nice role. So again, take from that what you want. But I think he's going to catch a lot of passes. They talked about using him in the slot. He's running behind a pretty good offensive line. I know they just picked up a big steal in the draft of Penei Sewell, and I think Jared Goff, he's probably going to lean on just checking down to the running back a lot more often than Matt Stafford would have in the past.
Yeah, and Matt Stafford did check down a lot in the past to Swift, but Matthew Stafford also had Kenny Galladay, Marvin Jones, and that's something Goff doesn't have. But my whole thing is I'm lower. I have him actually right here at 19. That's because I honestly just don't like the fact that Jamal Williams is there. They want to go to like an A-B running back system where and Jamal Williams, we saw him. If he could take carries away from Aaron Jones, he can take carries away from Swift. It's just that's what's going to happen. It's really frustrating to watch for fantasy because it makes you want to put fork in your eyes when you're watching because you're like, come on, man. Like he's clearly the better running back, and I like Swift. I like him as a running back. He's great. He's dominant, but and that O-line's good. Like you said, it's nothing to really take lightly. It's just it's going to be annoying to watch Anthony Lynn use two running backs there and Dan Campbell rotate the running backs. So if he didn't, Swift could be I would have Swift higher like you. I'd have him probably even higher than 16. But I'm looking at your rankings and you got him higher than Dobbins, and I just want to ask why. Like not why, but like you come in if you weren't keeping Swift and you came up to like the 4th round, Swift or Dobbins, you're taking Swift. You're not taking Dobbins. You're gonna take the potential of Jamal Williams there and maybe losing some of that, or are you still gonna think about going with the running back team?
I do like that potential upside that Swift has if there because I know Jamal Williams there, but I think like there's a chance that he'll just show that he's clearing away the much better running back. He showed it in college at Georgia. I just think that he could do it again, and he could just take over a whole offense. I think him being able to play out in the slot, him being able to catch passes out of the backfield, and then him being just a good straight up runner, and he is good down by the goal line. So if he does get his usage down there over Jamal Williams, then I think I don't see why he couldn't outscore Dobbins. But that's the thing is, will he get those touches in the important area on the field, the red zone with Jamal Williams there? So that's something that we wait to see. But I do think, I know I told you earlier in the year that I think Swift will outscore Dobbins this year. I do still think that will happen.
Put your money where your mouth is, Thomas. That's all I got to say. All right, let's go to the next guy, number 20 on the list. And that's a recent running back takeover and Daryl Henderson. Cam Akers went down. And I was, I think one of two. I'm not sure where you and Dan were on Akers, but Akers was up there for me. And now that Akers got hurt, Henderson's obviously gonna take over that role, but it's not gonna be a clear cut. Like he's not as athletic. He's not as much of a talented back as Akers was. Matthew Stafford is going to dump it off a little bit. We've definitely seen it, but I think Matthew Stafford, this leads him more towards building a repertoire and a relationship with Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods more, and even Tyler Higbee, which is someone we'll wind up talking about when we get to tight ends. I might be sliding up here because I just think Daryl Henderson's not going to be able to get it done on the ground a lot more like Cam Akers would have. So I have Henderson at 22. Ryan's got him at 22. You have him at 18, and Dan's got him at 19. So you guys are higher on us than we are. You guys are higher on him than we are. But my thing is, like I said, I feel like he's going to put that more in a hold running. You don't really see explosive plays like, yo, wow, who's that? It's Henderson. Nah, it's going to be like a 3rd and 8 because he got the ball in the 1st and 2nd down. He got 1 yard each carry. And it's like, oh, shit. And now they're going to dump it off to Tyler Higbee or hit Woods over the middle or find Kupp, and Kupp's got to get those extra 8 yards. So that's why I have him low, but I still think because the volume could be there. The volume will be there, so he's got to be in this range. He's definitely going to get the ball more than, probably Mike Davis, Kareem Hunt, Melvin Gordon, Chase Edmonds, guys like this. He's going to get the ball more than them, so he's going to be better for fantasy in that perspective because you got to trust the volume.
Yeah, that's why I think I do have him. I lean to have him so high is because of the straight up volume that he will have. I mean, McVay's came out and said that he's not playing at all in the preseason. So they look forward to him being a 3-down back. Now, if he holds true to that saying is another thing. But they also said they're not going to sign another veteran running back, so we don't have to worry about Todd Gurley coming back, Adrian Peterson coming in, taking carries away. But I'm also not really scared about the guys behind him, Jake Funk and Xavier Jones, is that his name? I just don't think that they pose much of a threat. I don't really think that that's something that I would fade Daryl Henderson over. And I do really like this Rams offense. So I think they'll be high scoring. I think I'll have a lot of opportunities to score some touchdowns. And I just think they'll be in good game scripts. They'll probably win a lot of games. I think they're probably set to win around 11 games or so. They'll be in good game scripts. I think he does have a good amount of work cut out for him. So that's why I'm higher on him than I think you guys.
Absolutely. I mean, you make great points. I just feel, like we both agree the volume is there. I just think, he's not going to make much out of the volume compared to the people that I have above him. So with that, you can take number 21 and it's your old team, or potentially you're still your same team.
So 21 here, we have Miles Sanders. You have him over 20, or Ryan has him over 20. You have him at 21. Or you have him at
21.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're right.
You have him at 21. I'm sorry. I am pretty low on him. I have him at 26, or Dan has him at 26, and I have him at 27. I'm sorry. Or 25. I'm sorry. And I don't know. I'm just not high on Miles Sanders. That backfield is going to be an absolute mess. Brought in a rookie, bring in Jordan Howard. I just don't see. The coaches told us that they're going to be they're going to use a committee there, so I really don't know. What to expect from there. I'm not really high on him at all.
I mean, I completely agree. I mean, the O-line's getting worse than it has. I think Hurts brings more of his own rushing upside than Sanders, and even Jordan. I think they bought Jordan Howard in more for the goal line. They saw what Miami did with him last year. I feel like they're going to try to do the same this year with him. And he knows that offense a little bit more than maybe the rookies. But Miles Sanders is going to be the guy, I think, for the most part. I just don't think, last year he was the guy for the most part and didn't really make the most of everything. He, some games he did, some games he really didn't prevail for you, and he left you as like a sour taste in your mouth, or he limped off the field and got hurt, or he just wasn't completely healthy. It just didn't look great out of Miles Sanders. He's not someone I'm excited to draft this year. He's not someone I'm excited to watch football this year. He's just not. He doesn't bring the excitement to me, and I think he has a lot of rebounding to do this year, and if he does bounce back, then maybe. But he definitely burned multiple people, and I think that also leaves a problem last year. He's one of those guys. I think in the offense he can be involved and get involved in the passing game, which is fine. And the Eagles, they play the Cowboys twice, Giants twice, and Washington football team twice. So like he's got decent easier schedules than some people. Besides, I would honestly say Washington. But it's just someone I wouldn't really look to rely on. I'd rather take my chances and roll on Henderson. I know I have Henderson lower than him, but I think they're in the same category. But I'd rather rock Henderson there just because of the check down. The team is just better as a whole. The Eagles are kind of in shambles. I don't know. I'm just not a Miles Sanders fan this year.
Yeah, I mean the Jalen Hurts thing is another thing. So they have the three running backs, and then they have Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts is definitely going to get his on the ground. We've seen that last year. I think he averaged in the games he played like 50 yards per game on the ground, which is a lot. Because if you just gave that straight to Miles Sanders, then he would be much better player for fantasy. But that's not going to happen. We know it's not going to happen. And then another thing that, like you said, that offensive line is getting old. They've been hurt the last 2 years. I mean, they're banged up, and like. I just don't see a chance for Miles Sanders to consistently put out productive fantasy weeks. I don't think he's very safe play. I think he might have weeks where he goes off and breaks away some big runs, and because he was very good, he is a very good talent still. But I just don't think that team and that offense will allow him to reach his ceiling that he could have got last year.
Yeah, I mean, running back. He was the running back 23 last year. He had games where he dropped like the Steelers game. He dropped 30 points on a really tough defense, but then he comes back and bounces against the Cowboys or the Eagles and he drops 3. I mean, the Giants and he drops 3 points. It's like, what do you don't know what you're going to get on a week-to-week basis with him. The talent's there. It's just, it might not be him. It might be the running game. He averaged 5 yards a carry, which is pretty good. They just didn't use him a lot there, and he's not really involved in the passing game that much. He's an 8% target share, and Jalen Hurts is not going to help that. So things are going downhill for him in a way and bringing in more running backs. So that's why I have him this low. Really as a stat breakdown, like I said, he's not someone I'm excited for. If I have to take, he's one of the guys actually. If I have to take him to draft, I'm like trying to look elsewhere and like, oh, I'm trying to pretend, oh, he's not there, but you might have to. So that's Miles Sanders.
He's one guy that I will not draft. I refuse to draft him in any fantasy league this year. I'm so far off Miles Sanders. That's how I stand.
I'm off on him, but up to a certain point. If he hits a certain round and he's there, I'll pull the trigger because
what's the earliest round you'll take him in?
5th. If he's some way somehow there in the 5th, I'll take him. Which I don't even know what his ADP is right now. I mean, I can quickly look that up.
Yeah, look up his ADP, please.
On Sleeper, his ADP coming into 2021 is the running back 24. Really? Is it that low? No, that's where he finished last year. Okay. Getting this. Sorry. We're going to find it out right now. Go to the running backs. He is a running back. ADP is 34. So mid-third round. Yeah, I'm waiting a whole 2 rounds to get him. Because I'm picking at 7. Yeah. If he's there at 5, I'll take him. But that's the earliest I'm going.
Yeah, no. I would take him in the 7th. That's it. But he won't be there. I'm so far off. I don't want to hand on him. Sorry.
You're doubling his ADP.
No, keep me away.
All right. All right, with that, let's go to the number 22 running back here on the board. And this is someone, I'm a little bit lower on last year. It's Mike Davis. I have him at 24. Ryan's got him at 21. Tom, you have him at 21. And Daniel's got him at 23. I just don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe Mike Davis. I'm going to keep saying it. I think it was this offense he was in last year that uses a running back. And he was on the Panthers, if you don't know. McCaffrey was hurt. So all their plays are like, hey, let's throw the running back. This play's designed for the running back. Oh, what's that play? That play's designed for running back. So that's what made him look good. I think Mike Davis is going to go behind a worse O-line in Atlanta. The passing volume might be there because of how much that team passes, but I think they're going to rely more on Ridley, Kyle Pitts doing some stuff, and possibly Russell Gage here. And, maybe go 2 tight instead with Hayden Hurst. They traded for him. He's obviously going to be an asset. I think Mike Davis will be somewhat beneficial this year, but I think there's a point in the season where he's going to fall off, and that team is really going to struggle, run the ball, move the ball on the ground until they move away from Mike Davis. So I'm out on Mike Davis this year. For the most part, I think early on he's someone you could probably get away with unless they sign. Like they obviously aren't making known that they want to go get Todd Gurley. So I don't know. I just feel like last year helped him in his ADP this year, and for me, I haven't ran the outside of the RB2s.
Yeah, I agree with what you said. I don't think the Mike Davis. I want to call it the Mike Davis experiment. I don't think that's going to be a whole 17-week thing.
Yep.
I mean, you saw him with the Panthers last year, like when he had some games when McCaffrey wasn't there that he was like, you're like, oh, wow, he's basically Christian McCaffrey. And then he had other games where he was like, okay, that's Mike Davis right there. Like he scored me 6 points this week and he played a full game. So I mean that he's not going to be a good, I don't think he's going to be as steady of a running back all year. I think what you said, he'll definitely start out hot and probably fizzle towards the end of the year. Like they got Cordero Patterson behind him. He's definitely going to catch passes because that's what he does. He's like a gadget player. And then Quadre Olison, I know that's Ryan's guy in Dynasty. He looked good in preseason. I've heard some good talks about him out of camp. So I mean, I just don't think the whole Mike Davis thing ends up lasting full 17 weeks. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah. All right. I mean, that we're on the same page there. Dan and Ryan aren't here to defend themselves, so I think Dan's kind of agreeing with us there. So we can go to 23, and you can take 23.
All right, down here at 23, we have Chase Edmonds. I have Edmonds down here at 24, so I'm not far off here with what you guys think, but I I don't really know what to buy into Chase Edmonds here. I mean, the team brought in James Conner. They have Kyler Murray, who's going to run a lot more than he did at the end of last year. And you saw a lot last year in the beginning of the year until he got hurt that he was taking all those goal line touches from Kenyan Drake, or touchdowns, I'm sorry, from Kenyan Drake and Chase Edmonds. So I don't really know what. I know Cliff Kingsbury has said they want to make him a true bell cow running back, but I really don't know how much I buy that because Chase Edmonds hasn't broken 100 carries in a single season yet in his career. So I really don't know how much he is going to be able to handle, and what does James Conner's role in that offense look like, because then that backfield could get pretty ugly if James Conner's taking all the touchdowns and Edmonds is catching passes and Kyler's running just like he was last year. So I don't really know how high Edmonds' ceiling is this year.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think the only thing I don't really agree with, I think that, the reason why he didn't get 100 carries is because he was never the starter. They bought James Conner, but it's not a matter of when James Conner will get carries. It's when he'll go out and be missed time, because that's what happens. James Conner's going to miss a lot of time. I think Edmonds, he's a great pass catcher, so that helps him in a lot of sense here in PPR. I think if he can just work on the ball carry vision, they tried improving their O-line a little bit. So I think if he can get behind Kyler Murray and just run the ball fine, get 4 yards of carry, 3 yards of carry, it'll definitely make him the every role, every down starter, and they'll be able to get him the ball in the passing game as well. I think Edmonds, for where he's being drafted, and his ADP is 7th round. So where he's being drafted, I think, is a little undervalued compared to somebody like Miles Sanders. I feel like, to me, I think these guys are kind of the same tier, because Miles Sanders has that proven talent, where Edmonds is coming to that first time ever being a starter. We don't know if he can hit that 30 points per game, or at least a 30-point game like Miles Sanders can. But Miles Sanders is going 4 rounds before him. And I'd rather wait. I'd rather not take Miles Sanders in the 3rd round. I'd rather take Edmonds in the 7th. I have him. I think you get more value out of that. I think there's better options than Miles Sanders in the 3rd, and then Chase Edmonds in the 7th. You're dealing. You can get a guy who potentially, if he hits on all cylinders. Pass catcher. He's on a versatile offense that looks to move the ball. That team's gonna get scored on, so they're gonna have to do a lot of scoring. My only problem with him, why I have him lower, is Kyler Murray, man. Like you said, Kyler Murray runs the ball a lot. He's going to take goal line carries away from him. He's really quick. He's elusive, and it hurts. It definitely is going to hurt him in the long run. So that's why I have him here at 23.
Yep. I mean, I agree with all of what you just said. I just personally, like, sometimes I just look at Chase Edmonds and I just think, like, is he really a good running back? And they keep bringing in all these guys to either pair with him or put ahead of him. So I don't really know, like, how I stand on all that Chase Edmonds, but we'll see.
All right, we'll go to the last guy here on the list to end up the running back rankings of the 24. This is all we'll do. This is the top 24 we will put out. And number 24 comes in is Myles Gaskin. Ryan's got him at 23. I have him at 20. Daniel has him at 22. And Tom, we'll get to you, he's got him at a whopping 30. Now, Myles Gaskin is the guy who played last year, got the job done in the weeks he played. He literally was phenomenal. He helped win a lot of leagues for people. It has come out that the team wants to use a running back by committee. I lowered him by a little bit because of that, but I think he'll stand out as be the dominant force. He didn't play in preseason, so that's got to mean something. I think the only people there that he really needs to, play against or like take carries away from him is gonna be like Malcolm Brown, and Salvon Ahmed. Salvon Ahmed made a point when Myles Gaskin missed time to make some starts, but I don't think it's gonna factor in that much this year. I think Myles Gaskin's got that job. He's gonna run away with it. The O-line's kind of bad. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Tua is not very, I would say, explosive from what I've seen so far. I feel like he's got a lot of work to do. And I just think, Malcolm Brown was never really good, but they brought him in here to do something. And if they go running back by committee, that would really be unfortunate. As we all know, we hate to see that. But if not, Myles Gaskin, I think, has a chance to be another league winner for you this year as your running back 2 who can get you 12 points on a week-to-week basis and then hit for 24, 25 points. The only downfall of him is being involved in the passing game. I said Tua is there. He's not really hitting a lot of expectations. Ryan Fitzpatrick used him a little bit more than Tua. Tua is probably going to run the ball or try to use everybody else or turn over the ball, as what we see Tua doing a lot in practice and seeing what he's doing in the games. So that's what hurts Myles Gaskin, I think, is Tua running the offense.
Yeah, so all right, so I have him at 30. I'm really low on him. I do not. So to start with what you just ended with, I do not like Tua as a quarterback. I don't think he really helps the team. But to your point where you said Gaskin actually did play in the game, and he got out carried by Salvin Ahmed and Malcolm Brown. Myles Gaskin had 4. Ahmed had 6 and Malcolm Brown had 9. So
in preseason?
I mean, in the preseason game.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
So,
I might have missed his carries. My bad. I stand correct.
Yeah. So exactly. I think that's pretty ugly. Like you know that you're gonna get, you're gonna get a committee there. And Malcolm Brown, we saw it last year with what he did to Cam Akers out in Los Angeles. He's just gonna steal all those goal line carries. Like he was like a thorn last year in the side of Cam Akers, and you saw once they gave Cam Akers a job, he took over. But I don't see a path to how Myles Gaskin is anything but like a mid-tier running back this year. So I'm all the way off him, and then I didn't even see his passing. I don't think he got any work in the passing game out of the backfield. I don't even think he was in on the downs. I think Ahmed was in on the downs. Actually, I'm looking. I know Ahmed had 2 catches, 31 yards, and Malcolm Brown had 1 catch for 7 yards. Gaskin had 1 catch for 3 yards. So I mean, he was outsnapped on those downs by these guys. I just don't. I'm not on him. I'm sorry. Can't do it. I would love to hear. Dan. Dan has talked about how high he is on him all season as of recent. So it's kind of unfortunate he's not here, but I would love to hear his side of the story.
Yeah, I mean, Dan's probably higher than any of us on him. I mean, I was a couple weeks, I would say before the coach came out and said they want to do running back by committee, I was extremely high on Gaskin. I would probably say if not higher than Dan, at the same level, because when he played last year, he averaged 18 points per game. That's up in what running back ones do. So it's phenomenal. He played 9 games last year. If he can find a way to get that to 12, 13 and be consistent, that's fine. His running yards per carry wasn't very good. He had 4 yards per carry, but he really excelled in the passing where he had 9 yards per carry. There, he led. I think he was, if not the highest. No, he wasn't the highest, but he was one of the highest yards per catch last year, and I think that team knows that. But like you said, bringing in Malcolm Brown, who's a thorn in Cam Akers' side, now he's gonna be a thorn in Myles Gaskin's side. But I honestly think this team might start off running back by committee, and this is why I lowered him. My thought process: they're gonna start off by committee, and they're gonna see the hot hand as what we've seen in the NFL, and it's gonna be Gaskin, and they're gonna feed Gaskin, and eventually Gaskin's gonna run away with the job unless he gets hurt, and then it'll be Ahmed and Malcolm Brown, and it's going to suck. It's going to be hard to watch that. So as long as, we get through that first few weeks, and if he wins the job, I think Gaskin can smash back to that top 15 like I had him originally.
One more thing, I'm sorry. I do just want to bash on Myles Gaskin one more time. I did just read that a lot of I forgot to point this out, but a lot of Myles Gaskin snaps in the preseason game was with the second team offense. It was after Malcolm Brown was done. After they took him out of the game for good. It was the second team offense, and then it was Myles Gaskin. He did get some work with the first team, but then he continued to stay in after that. So I don't know really. I just don't like him. I mean, it's kind of like almost like a light is just flashing. It's like warning, and I'm taking that pretty heavily. I know it was only one preseason game. We still have a couple more left, so we'll see how that goes from there.
Yeah, I mean, you make great points. I mean, we'll have to see again. Like, there's some guys, that's just the greatest thing. Yeah, you guys, we break down players and give our opinions on people. I think the signs are there, but I'm one that is still believing. I'm believing that he can do something. If not, I'll face that when it happens. But Dan, if you wish you were here, would love to hear his side of the story, especially on stream. Maybe we can touch on it. Maybe another episode. We'll recap that real quick so we get a little talk. But for now, that's it, guys. That's our top 24 running backs. This is 13 through 24. If you didn't watch our video before, that was 1 through 12. Please go watch that and share it with a friend. Stay up to date with us, man. We tweet a lot. We try to stay alive for you guys, and we try to be accurate and get you guys the most content and the best content to help you win your fantasy league. Share it with your friends, share it with your league mates, and spread the love. And we're here to bring you a championship. As always, subscribe to the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, leave comments if you got any. If you have questions, in the descriptions our link tree. You can ask us anonymously, or you can just shoot us a DM on Twitter or add us on Twitter or even on Instagram. Our Instagram is 2dudes1ball FF, as you see on the screen, and on Twitter it's 2dudes1ball. That's the number 2 and the number 1. Reach out to us, man, if you got questions. We're here to help. And that's it for me. Peace and love. Until the next one, we'll probably do wide receivers or quarterbacks next. Probably wide receivers, and I'm looking forward to that. So peace and love, guys, from me.
Till next time.
Thank you for listening to the 2 Dudes, 1 Ball Fantasy Football Podcast. Please like, subscribe, and comment below.